Let's see in detail. Drug recall is a process of withdrawing a defective, substandard, or potentially harmful drug from circulation. Usually, if we get any adverse drug reactions, then we don't report it into a adverse drug reactions immediately. Based on WHO scale, we identify whether it is actually a side effect with the drug, or patient is not willing to take this medication, or patient is sensitive to that medication, we'll see. And few drugs are in a defective thing, like, if you see fluids, that NS, DNS and RL, few precipitations we can find. That is, physically we can see some defect with that molecule. Or else if we see any vial, that is an ampule with a liquid form, we can see some crystals. So that is a manufacturing defect, probably a manufacturing defect, or probably a proper potency and efficacy of the drug is not being bind, or else any excipients were not bind. That is something manufacturing defect. So immediately we never ban the drug. Whatever the batch of that, if a vial of paracetamol got a precipitation, then we'll check with the same batch or another batch, and if 2 to 3 vials are into the same precipitation or discoloration, sometimes a transparent vial may turn into a yellow, pale yellow, or any leakage, or any crack with a crystal, with those glasses things, and we can found some crystals in it. So we'll check for the another batch. If we find 1 or 2, then we take entire batch from the hospital. It might be wards, it might be ICUs, it might be from pharmacy. Then that will be returned to the vendor. Entire batch of drug will be returned to the vendor. And we mention it all the details before returning it to the vendor. We write all the details, like this is the molecule of a paracetamol brand, paracetamol composition with the brand of PCM or Paracet or anything, the batch number, manufacturing date, expiry date, and why it is being returned. It might be the color discoloration, or any precipitate formation, or any crystals in the vial. So whatever the number is, it might be 1,000 or 2,000, the same batch will be returned it to the vendor. And what does that vendor do? They'll send it to the manufacturer, that is a company. So there are 3 in the quality and department. And in the quality department itself, it will be filtered. Once the quality department has finalized whether to send this molecule in the market, then the drug will be launched in the market of all the clinical trials at the same time. Firstly, clinical trials will not be done. Excuse me. Sorry. So whenever the manufacturing is being done, then quality department will be there in every production, in every company, in pharma companies. So whenever they go for quality department, in that department itself, there will be some withdrawal of the drug which cannot be released in the market. So at those situations, those recall is called a voluntary recall. And some molecules, they'll be launched in the industry, but after regulatory directive from the SEDESCO or DCGI, then they will do the recall that these molecules cannot be launched in the market, and it cannot be given to the patient due to some quality defects. And then this cannot be sent to the market, and this cannot be sold out. In that way, there might be a batch, there might be a complete molecule, there might be a brand. If you observe, most of the pharma companies will be seized just because of quality. And where that quality will be recognized, few things will be voluntarily recognized, and they'll withdraw the molecule. Whereas whenever for everybody, there will be some regulatory things. Then in that regulatory, then they'll take a call in kind of SEDESCO and DCGI. And these two got missed. Now hospital quality will be coming into the picture. How hospital quality sometimes, if you observe, most of the iron injection get frequent ADRs. So it might be anything, it might be rashes, it might be fever. So most of the injections, ferrous, that almost that ferric acid will be banned, because everywhere in the pregnant woman it cannot be given due to the side effects, so that drug got banned. And whenever hospital report all the ADRs to the PV center, that is a government center, after assessing the ADR, every side effect is not an ADR. And even sometimes it may leads to the drug-drug interaction also. All the drug-drug interactions are also not ADR. So with exclusive molecule, like if we have recently we found one ADR with doxycycline, then we could realize, based, we didn't even go for the WHO scale, but we have checked with the patient that they have taken dairy product in the morning. So that is a food drug interaction. That is not an ADR. So if we get any reaction, any side effect with the drug, that should be assessed with the WHO scale. Then if it is confirmed as ADR, that will be reported to the PV center. Then if whenever with the same reactions are getting with the same molecule, then pharmacovigilance will be alert on that molecule, on that drug or any brand. Then that will be, PV centers will be monitored exclusive, that batch or molecule, whatever the things are, they will be alert on the particular drug. And if any frequent reactions of any different cause, it might be the different causes, if they are getting the frequent reactions, then PV center will be getting into the next level of things, whether the drug should be banned or else that remanufactured, or any quality department should go and should check the quality, any inspections to be done on the pharma company, that will be done. And if it is something lacking in the quality, then they'll take, PV center will be escalating to the different departments. So there are three types of recalls. Class 1 is life threatening risk. Class 2, temporary or reversible risk. Class 3, minor or no risk. See, whenever we get life threatening risk, can you name some life threatening risks with the drugs? Can anyone? Anyone?
Anaphylactic reaction due to septicemia or injection.
Okay. What happened?
If we don't do that, like after test dose, if we don't do test dose means uh, if before without checking test dose, if we give ceftriaxone means like breathing problem, then rashes will occur.
Is that life threatening? Is that life threatening? Very recently, I think I shared in the group as well. One drug got banned.
Cold reef.
Sorry? I shared in the group as well.
Dextromethorphan.
Ma'am, cold drip syrup.
Yes. What happened? Why it got banned?
Because of the additive diethyl alcohol.
Yes. So that is a life threatening to the pediatrics. So what happened? Did they ban composition? Did they ban combination? Or did they ban brand?
Brand.
Did they ban composition or brand or entire molecule?
Brand.
Brand. Why so?
Because of addition of wrong additive.
What is the strong effect on it? What happened? Why it got banned?
It was life-threatening for the children.
Yes, it is life threatening because few children got the life threatening risk, so immediately it got a drug recall. Then Steven Johnson syndrome also. Did you observe any time Steven Johnson syndrome? Did you see toxic epidermal necrolysis? These got through the carbamazepine, that is an anticonvulsant. When we are using it alone, then it got into the life-threatening risk. So they stopped using this. Can you mute your system? Is T. Can you mute your audio? Yeah. See, life-threatening risk is something which is really affecting the patient. That might be a life, or else few drugs are leading to the paralysis. Few things are getting into the Steven Johnson syndrome, or few warfarin, and with the combination of different things, they are getting into the hemorrhage. It is complete bleed to the patient. So that is completely life-threatening, which should be addressed immediately. Then these kind of life-threatening risk will be addressed by the PV centers, and the recall will be done with a complete entire batch. And if it is still happening with the repeated batches, then they'll immediately ban the medicine. That is a brand. Or else sometimes if it is happening with all the compositions, all the brands, then the composition will be getting into the next level of things, and many trials will be done again from the hospital itself. And if we go for the temporary and class 2, that is a temporary and reversible risk. If you see, most of the people will get blisters on the skin, or else any rashes, fever. So that can be reversible with some other medicine, Avil or any paracetamol. They can cure. So which are curable, then that is called as a temporary or reversible risk, in the sense if we give any antidote to the medication. That is, few people will get blisters with the meropenem or higher end antibiotics, and few people will get mouth bleed with the uh, vancomycin also. What we can do evil, and we should stop those medications whatever the patients are getting affected. Then that is a temporary, which cannot be retained for sustained for long things, and it can be curable with some other antidote. That is a class 2 drug recall. Class 3 is very minor, and there will be no risk, though we are getting some chills. See, if you see, and chemotherapy drugs, yes, there is a alopecia, known alopecia. Why chemotherapy drugs are not being banned? Because there is something more useful than alopecia. So that is a minor risk, and that is not at all risk. Alopecia is not at all risk when it is giving some whatever the things, it is working on the actual disease. But the alopecia is not at all risk, or it can be considered minor than the whatever the tumor it is treating. So it is considered as a class 3. Whatever the type of drug recall is, class 1 should be addressed immediately, and the recall will be done. And whereas class 2, only the batch can be done, because it can be reversible, and that reaction will be for time being temporary things itself. Whereas class 3, it considered as minor and there will be no risk. So drug, we have some protocols. Now we are speaking about the protocol, that is hospital itself. So there is a, what is actual drug recall protocol? How can we give it to the vendors, or what are the variations, what are the things to be reported to the PV center? Let's see step by step. Firstly, identification and notification. Source of alert, regulatory body, supplier, or internal quality control committee. See, whenever the source of alert is, whenever we get some reaction, then the particular medicine and the batch should be identified, and notification should be given in the committee. At the same time, we have to give notification alert to the supplier also, because these reactions we are getting and we wanted to return this batch. In that way, we can give some alert to the people, like, regulatory body also we can give, that is a PV center, where if it is getting into the reaction, or any supplier or manufacturer if we are buying for, and we should inform the quality committee also, quality control committee also. Now next thing is immediate notification to pharmacy head and QA QC committee. Why immediate notification to pharmacy? Where these drug recalls happen, in the patient side, right? Sometimes in the pharmacy also, with the physical condition, it might be any discoloration, if it is something crystals. But before administering the drug, a nurse must see the condition of the drug physically, and they have to check it. So in that condition, most of the drug recalls will be getting from the wards itself, that is in other departments, to the patient side. So whenever we are getting the drug recalls, then the drug recall form should be filled, and the immediate notification should be sent to the pharmacy head and the quality department, so that they will get into the next level of things. Either it is supposed to return it to the vendor, or it is supposed to give some reversible action, then it should be escalated to the pharmacy head. Then internal communication will be given to the supplier, so that the batch can be returned to the vendor. Next thing, what we have given some alert to the pharmacy vendor. The next thing is segregation. How can we segregate? Isolated affected batch. Whenever you are getting the reaction with the affected batch itself, we no need to return entire molecule from the hospital. We can return only the batch number. So there will be different batch numbers in a bulk wherever it is stored. So from all the storage and the usage areas, it might be from the departments, that is ICUs, or wherever the medicine is placed in the crash cart, or any emergency or ward stock, that should be collected by pharmacy, and entire batch should be segregated, and those batch should be kept aside, and they should be labeled like under drug recall, do not use. If you don't if you don't label it, then people might not be knowing about this medication is in the drug recall, so that they may give to the same medicine to the patient. So to avoid those kind of medication errors, to avoid those kind of mistakes, from our end we have to label that it is under drug recall, do not use. Then the medicine should be placed separately, and which can be warned as a do not use with the label. Then what we are going to do, we have to communicate, notify clinicians, nursing, and the relevant departments. Whenever drug recall is there, then we should immediately uh, inform clinicians, that is doctors, nursing, and the relevant departments. Who are the relevant departments? If it is adrenaline, OT is relevant department. Nursing, respiratory therapists are the relevant departments. Medications who are departments who are involved in using those medications, those departments should be communicated by pharmacy, and we have to inform the clinicians as well, so that whenever they receive those batch, then they'll be alert before administering to the patient. Then coming to the documentation, record batch number, supplier, recall classification, quantity retrieved. Batch number is mandatory, where that batch should be returned to the vendor, and the supplier name. Supplier name is mandatory, where we are supposed to return all these medications. Then it cannot be lead to the ambiguity. To avoid all those things, we have to write the supplier name in detail. And recall classification. What is the recall classification? You give, this is the medicine, this is the batch number with the expiry date and the manufacturing. These medication were given so to the 20 patients, and the 20 patients got the same reactions. Now this is something medicine to be returned it to the vendor. Then you have to write all the what kind of recall you got, the classification. It might be a type 1, type 2, type 3. You have to write in detail. And how much quantity you are returning it to the vendor, you must write. So if it is paracetamol with batch number 0123Y and supplied to the X person, and there is a life threatening and the both type 1, type 2, then the quantity is, you have the 5,000 paracetamol injection with the same brand. So you are returning all the things, and so that the documentation will help you for the reporting at the same time for segregation also. If you don't document it, we may forget all the batch numbers and the quantity. So whenever you document, it avoids medication errors, and it avoids mistakes, and it ensures the patient safety, at the same time employee safety as well. And there is a process for return or destruction. It's our choice. Few medicines cannot be taken back. So those medicines should not be used, and we cannot keep for long. That is, it is on a do not use or labeling or something else. We should not keep. So we should immediately destruct if vendor is not taking these things. Few medications, generic medications, and few vendors, they won't take in return. So if that is the condition, then as per protocol, vendor return or biomedical wastage management. See, this is something a big topic where biomedical waste management, there are bins with color codings. If you have not seen in the hospital, you can check that as per the protocol, they have to discard this biomedical waste management. If you are sending these vials, that is a full vials to the biomedical, then you must put in yellow cover with name C. Usually expiry drugs will be done, and we are getting the condemnation certificate, that is a discarding certificate. This paracetamol with 5,000 quantity we have discarded due to drug recall, due to discoloration, due to crystal found physically which is not leading safety to the patient. We'll write all the details, and we'll take signature from the biomedical department also. And if those medications are willing to take from the vendor, then that can be returned to the vendor along with the batch name, supplier, and why it is being recalled, and which class of drug, how many quantity, how much quantity, how many vials you are returning it to the supplier, you have to mention in detail. So there are the steps, whatever the till now we have seen. This is an NABH protocol to avoid all the medication errors, and to avoid mistakes from our end also. To avoid medication errors, we are noting down all the batch numbers and the details, and at the same time dispensing error which may leads to harm to the patient. That is the reason we are isolating the entire affected batch from all the storage and the usage areas, that is might be OT, cath lab, anywhere in the hospital. We are removing from the usage areas also, and we are putting all these things at a separate place and with the label under recall and do not use. Then till now you have done this one. Then the next thing is, you have to communicate to the clinicians, and you have to document it along with the supplier name, and then the decision will be made by the procurement or the supplier with their all the norms. Whether if vendor is ready to return, then you must return with the batch number, supplier, recall classification, and quantity retrieved. If vendor is not willing to take them return, then that should be discarded in biomedical waste management in detailed way along with the quantity. And you must get the condemnation certificate from the biomedical waste along with the quantity. This paracetamol got reactions with the to the 20 patients, so we are returning, we are discarding this medication. As this is the improper package or improper physical maintenance, then the condemnation certificate will be provided to the hospital. Whenever you get hospital get inspections, Then if any drug recalls are there, they might be known, they might be coming with the information. But if there is no documentation from your end, then they are going to seize your pharmacies and the hospital as well. So documentation and the condemnation certificates are most important. Now, the auditor begins verification and closure. Till now, whatever the medication are involved and whatever the things have done, they kept aside and they labeled it. Now, internal auditor will come. Audit trial maintained and verified by internal auditors. Pharmacy is being done. Why internal auditor plays a role in recall? See, now till now we have documented, right? Till now we have documented, like, how to maintain all these things step by step. We have documented. Why auditor is needed in verification and closure? Anyone? Though you are wrong, it's okay. You can speak. Why auditor is required in drug recall? Am I audible? Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, tell me why internal auditor is required. Pharmacy are doing it. Why do they need a separate internal auditor? Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Can anyone say? See, this is something where we are reporting it to the government and where action being taken by the government based on this data. So a auditor is mandatory before closing this. It might be the destruction, it might be the sending to the vendor, whatever the decision has made. Auditors should verify for the evidence. And internal department cannot be closed. So for the evidence sake and for documentation, audit is mandatory. See, if you are having a company and you cannot file all those whatever things, you will be having separate CA, right, to check your audit compliance, and they'll be auditing all the whatever the expenditure and everything will be audited by the CA. Why do we need auditor? We cannot do all our things, and that there should be something IT returns in the detail from the top to bottom. So that is how evidence is required. We cannot, even we can do all those things, but still evidence is required as a double check, or any communication evidence is required before we are sending it to the government or any hierarchies. So we should have internal auditor. If we don't have, then quality, at least quality department should check all these drug recall forms. So what, see, if you are an auditor, internal auditor in the drug recall, let's see what you are supposed to do. Verify completeness of recall log. You'll be having a separate forms. Without those forms, you cannot, that is not considered. Without documentation, it is not considered at all. And review timeliness of response. So whenever you have written all those logs, then timeline for everything, there will be a timelines, right? So review those response as well, whether they have send it from the all the departments, or usage area, storage, and what is the timeline, how many areas you got, how many reactions you got, what is the duration. So you are going to review all those response also. Then check communication evidence. And why communication evidence is required? Did they really communicate to the clinicians in the hospital? Did they really communicate to the nursing department, where the department is using all these things? So it should be communicated in entire hospital. How we got the communication that drug so and so cough syrup got banned? We got through the communication itself. So that we'll come to know that kind of circular or a document was released by the government, which can create awareness to everyone, so that people who are not aware, or people who are intentionally giving also, can avoid this kind of life threatening risk. So that is the reason, is if there is any evidence, it might be email or circular, that should be communicated, and that should be checked by the auditor. And ensure physical segregation and traceability. Yes, physical segregation, from if any batch 1 is getting affected to the patient, then the entire batch 1 should be segregated physically, and that should be traceable, like how many quantity we have kept, and on what base they have been packed, or they using from the quantity which were kept aside. So we have to ensure the physical segregation and traceability. And validation and traceability. Yes, validation and traceability also. Validation, and at the same time the pharmacy head. See, there should be two departments working on it. That pharmacy head should acknowledge that we have returned all those batch aside and we have kept aside. That in that way, pharmacy head should acknowledge the quantity, batch number, and the medicine. And the quality department who works as an auditor, in the presence of auditor itself, these things were packed and kept aside. Even their signatures are supposed to be. So let's see what are the banned drugs in India till now. Sedesco list. Latest one, Gazette notification, WHO or US FDA alerts. So from this itself, we get the banned drugs. If we go for the examples, nimesulide suspension. This is for pediatric, it got banned. And pioglitazone is temporarily banned earlier because we are getting the frequent reactions. So that was kept aside. That was banned for time being, and then the quality check was done. And based on the quality check, this composition is safe itself. But by the time we get clearance that this medication is safe, then these medications are banned till the clearance form from the original, whatever the alert, whatever the standard guidelines, we should get alert that these medicines are okay to use and these medicines are safe to use. Then itself we are supposed to use it with the proper guidelines. So in that way, it got temporarily banned. Fixed dose combinations. Yes, if you observe codeine plus paracetamol, codeine is something, it's a sedative, and paracetamol is an analgesic. So few doses, few combinations were banned. And see, if you observe, there are three type categories. That is a nimesulide suspension with the pediatric, it got completely banned. Whereas the second one, it got a temporarily banned. Whereas the third thing is fixed dose combinations. That is a minor risk itself, but still that is unsafe. So codeine and paracetamol combination got banned. And if you see, these are the recalls flagged and the reason banned. Can you see? Can you see this?
Yes,
Coldriff
ma'am.
syrup batch SR13 made by Srisaran Pharma, Tamil Nadu. It banned recall toxicity alert. So, firstly, what happened? Contaminated with diethylene glycol, a toxic industrial chemical, multiple child deaths. Is it a life threatening or reversible or minor?
Life threatening, ma'am.
Yes. So what happened here? The Times of India is a router, that is someone to be spread all over the things, right? So in that way, we have these medication got banned, and this is the latest one. And then second thing is in Gujarat by Rednex, that is Respifresh TR recall, that is a regulatory ban. What happened? Found contaminated with DEG 1.342%, 342% throughout the directly linked to the deaths, banned to prevent health risk. See what it is, drug recall. They found DEG through the, they found contaminated. The molecule was contaminated, which was prepared by the Rednex Pharmaceuticals. So the regulatory in the sense, whenever it got to the quality check, or the regulatory bodies might be the CDSCO, or where the next level of things, the WHO, they got banned here. Whereas first one, it has lead to the child death and the kidney failure, which were reported in almost 1819. Then the drug got banned immediately. And Relife by Shape Pharma Gujarat, that is a recall. This is also regulatory ban. Also found contaminated with TEG with percentage of 0.616. Recall ordered. Then 156 fixed dose combinations, FDC 2024 full ban. That is a manufacturer distribution itself. That is complete combination. It might be um antibiotics, painkillers. These combinations were considered as irrational by expert committee, and these because of lacking the therapeutic justification risk. See, uh, whenever use the combination of the drug, it one drug may loses their efficacy and potency of the drug, and some may leads to the allergic combo. So whenever we are using the drugs, then combinations must be rarely used. Whatever kind of tazobactam and sulbactam, these can be used, but codeine plus paracetamol, analgesic plus painkiller, those combinations cannot be used at all. In that way, 150 fixed combinations were banned. So these are the different, these whatever I have kept here, these all are the life threatening itself. So few medications were completely banned, recalled after reaching the patient. Few medications were banned regulatory, and few were are in the manufacturer itself. That is complete full ban. It might be sale, manufacturing, distribution, wherever it is. That is completely banned with the combination of the drugs. So whenever we have, till now we have seen these, whenever we got the drug recall, what we are supposed to do, and how it should be documented in the hospital. Now this is the banned drugs, how we can see what is the resource to check all these things we have seen till now. These are the sources. These are the sources, that is a CDSCO, WHO, US FDA, ICMR. These are the sources to check, and these are few examples I have given, and these are the life threatening things, and it got banned. Now how it can be escalated in the hospital? That is periodic review of formulary. We have seen, we have gone through the drug formulary. Do you remember? Do you remember drug formulary? That should be reviewed every 6 months. Do you remember or not? Did you remember drug formulary? That is the first session I took. If you don't remember, please, you can go through the classes. Periodic drug formulary is a list of drugs based on the scope of services where we are supposed to keep all the drugs, and it should be reviewed every 6 months. If any changes, if any drug recalls happened, then immediately we have to remove all those drug recall medication, and it should be communicated to the clinicians that we'll be providing formulary to all the healthcare professionals along with the clinicians. So whatever the drugs which were banned and which were removed, or else which were drug recall was done, then you have to you have to communicate to the clinicians not to prescribe these medications, so that it can be ensure the safety patient that to avoid all the errors and to avoid all the adverse drug reactions. And you should communicate what are the safe alternatives. If you remove the paracetamol injection, then about the paracetamol PCM brand, then which brand you are replacing with. That combination cannot be banned completely, or else the entire molecule cannot be banned completely whenever we are clinicians wants to use it. So that the replacement, how you are replacing with the all safe alternate, that should be mentioned in that, and it should be escalated to all the healthcare professionals in the hospital. And we have to communicate. How we have to communicate with the clinicians is use multi-channel alerts, that is email, notice board, EMR pop-up. So whenever you keep EMR pop-up, then those medication cannot be prescribed. Though they are trying to prescribe, they got drug recall with so and so reaction, so that medication will not be sent to the patient directly. And next thing is pharmacy to issue drug alert circular within 24 hours. Whenever the drug recall has done in the hospital, pharmacy should issue, because this is the key person where communication should be escalated from the pharmacy to all the departments. That is a drug alert circular within 24 hours itself. Document clinician acknowledgement, that is signature or read receipt. Whenever you say verbally, doctor may listen or may not listen, they forget. And if they write the same medication without remembering, or else they may say, they may blame that we don't have information from the department, so we have prescribed those. So to avoid all those blame game, document matters a lot. You have to take acknowledgement from the clinician, that is a signature along with the date, or any read receipt, that is this medication was banned. I'm coming to know it, all these things. There should be some evidence of documentation. And example, stop prescribing drug X due to sedesco ban, dated TTT, that is date, month, year. Then you have to, this is the circular, stop prescribing drug so and so drug due to sedesco ban. And you must mention date and year and month. This is mandatory wherever you document the things, and so that you can take acknowledgement from the clinician as well. So now managing the regulatory alerts has come. What are the sources? SEDESCO, DCGI, State Drug Controller, ICMR, WHO, Ministry of Health. These are the regulatory alerts where you can get the resource, that is a list of banned drugs, list of recalled drugs, so that you can find out the latest guidelines. And internal response system, designate a regulatory officer, a pharmacist. One pharmacist should go through always these things to avoid effect to the patient, so that whenever you have updates on these guidelines, then the pharmacist will be continuing their process, and there will be some regulatory alert register. Conduct impact assessment, what is the impact we are getting, and what implement kappa, that is corrective action, preventive action with that reaction should be done. And verify closure through audit. These are the internal response system to be followed by the pharmacist whenever we go through all the resources. And if we get any alert, see, recently Calidril syrup got banned. What happened? All the hospitals, all the pharmacies, they have collected those medications and they have sent it to the vendor. That vendor has sent it to the a particular manufacturer, so that if we are not aware of it, and though due to lack of awareness, still we are using the same medication to the patient, and patient might be affecting the same reactions which may lead to the life threatening also. That is the reason we should be always alert with the guidelines and the latest guidelines, and that should be communicated to the clinicians, which should be acknowledged, and regulatory alert register to be maintained. And if something happened, already the reaction has happened, then the corrective action is we have to reversible the risk, or else the preventive action is given, not giving to the same medicine, and at the same time we are supposed to follow, that is a preventive action. And verify closure. So whenever all the medication was submitted to the pharmacy from all the usage areas and the storage areas, through the audit itself, once the audit has given the clearance, this medication was separated and segregated along with the label, that is do not use, then that should be acknowledged. And whenever we are removing all those medications and the replacing medications, there should be some safety protocols. These safety protocols should be followed for the replacements also. The safe removal is record physical withdrawal from the shelves, crash cards, wards, update the stock management software. Whenever you are withdrawing all the drugs physically, that should be updated in the software also. If you have Caldril syrup 100 in system, and physically you have 0, so whenever the drug inspector or else someone comes, they'll check in the system. So if though it is kept aside, there is no evidence when you don't remove from the software. So whenever you remove all the drugs physically, it might be somewhere, it might be from the crash card, that should be removed from the system as well, for the safety protocol. And the replacement substitute with the approved drug after pharmacy committee review. Yes, we have discussed the pharmacy committee review, and then we are supposed to approve that this is a pharmacy committee review. Then this committee has taken the decision to avoid particular brand and to replace some other brand. So there should be some replacement which should be mentioned in the drug formulary by the decision of PTC. And disposable, there is a certain protocols. At the same time, the biomedical also coordinate with the biomedical waste management vendor as per the protocol. We do have certain exclusive vendors for biomedical. These pharma vendors are different, biomedical vendors are different. If vendor is not willing to take medications back, so that it should be at least discarded with the authorized biomedical vendor management as per protocol. Yes, what are the protocols? It should be audited, what are the numbers and all along with the batch number, and there should be a condemnation certificate, and it should be signed by the biomedical waste management vendor, at the same time the hospital. And at the same time, audit ready traceability documentation chain from procurement, storage, issue, drug recall or disposable. This is something audit traceable protocol, which should be there mandatory, and it should work as a whenever we go for the drug inspector or anything. So from the procurement itself, it got banned. And the storage is also, this procurement is not allowing first of all, and it is not being stored, it is not being issued. And the drug recall or disposable protocol is also there to create the evidence, to show the evidence for all these the above flowchart. That is the reason we must keep the document of audit traceability. These are the parameters you are supposed to check. If you are an auditor, then you must check all these parameters. Recall register maintained. If you go as an auditor, if you are working, if you are doing internship, go to your hospitals and check if any drug recall register is being maintained or not. If no register is maintained, then that hospital is non-compliance. That is drug recall. Compliance evidence is if they are writing yes, then check recall log. Next is recall communication done within 24 hours. Yes, they'll say that we have taken paracetamol example. Then paracetamol register is being maintained, that is a drug recall log. If drug recall log is there, but they are still saying verbally that it is communicated to all the patients, all the clinicians and the healthcare professionals. There should be some evidence. It might be email, it might be circular, or whatever the things notice, that should be there. And the next parameter is segregation verified. If any segregation verification has been done or not, then immediately the physical check should be done. They say that yes, we have segregated as per the protocol. Then what you are supposed to do, you are supposed to check this physical check, whether it really got removed in the hospital or not. And the kappa documented for every reaction, for every incident, there will be corrective action and the preventive action documents, and the corrective file to be maintained in the department, that is a pharmacy department, which is mandatory. And the closure report approved. That obviously the closure report should be approved by the quality department signature, and the same time the pharmacy head signature also. So these are the parameters. If you work as an auditor, you must check whenever, if you go to any pharmacy or any manufacturing unit, then you must check these 5 parameters, which are very important. If you check these parameters, then compliance evidence, there might be evidence for every parameter. So if they are saying yes, we are following the protocol, then for each and every steps, these are the protocol evidence, that is a recall log, email or notice or physical check. This is the evidence to check. So this is very important if you wanted to work as an auditor. And common audit non-conformities is recall log not updated or missing closure date. See, this is the parameters where you have seen the complaints. If it is non-compliance, then recall log not updated, missing closure date, then this is the non-conformity. And the communication delays, that is a less than 48 hours. If it is not communicated, then that is a non-compliance. Clinician not informed or acknowledged. See, sometimes clinician may inform, but there is no acknowledgement from the pharmacy department which was taken from the clinicians, then this is also a non-compliance. So clinician should be informed through the circular or email. Then acknowledgement should be given by the consultants itself. Recalled drugs still visible in the storage areas. If everything is maintained but physically it is not removed and it is kept in the as usual storage areas, this is also a non-compliance. If no kappa has there for the recurrence, if it is completely recurring but still no corrective action, no preventive action was done, so there is no evidence. These are the non-compliance, and these are the parameters to check the compliance evidence. These are the parameters for the non-compliance. So let's go for the case study. Till now, we have seen what is drug recall and what are the types of drug recall, what are the resources to go through the drug recall, and how hospital formulary will work on it, and how we are supposed to update it, and what is the PV center, when it is PV center gets alert, and the drug recall protocol, there is some step by step to be followed as per NABH. And this is something where it done by the all the departments and communicated to the healthcare professionals apart from the clinicians. And auditor will be a role in this recall, and auditor should check what auditor is supposed to check. We have gone through that, is a completeness of recall, timeline, timeline document itself, physical segregation and the traceability, and validate closure reports by signing the quality department and the pharmacy head. These are the banned drugs we have seen, and what are the resources to check banned drugs or else the recalled drugs, and what is the managing regulatory things, and how what is the hospital protocol you must follow. And these are the few drug list, whatever the things are banned, and hospital protocol after recalling the drugs, what you are supposed to do. We have to remove the things from the formulary which should be communicated to the clinicians, and what are the safe replacements you are taking for the alternatives, you must write all those things. And the communication, what is the mode of communication with the clinicians for the patient safety and the employee safety as well. And managing regulatory alerts, what are the regulatory alerts are there and what are the resources we must choose, and what is the internal response system to do all those things. And there is some protocol for the safe removal and the replacement. Whenever they remove or they replace the drug, there should be a committee called the pharmacy therapeutic committee. The disposable things, whatever the biomedical wastage management vendor, through them itself we must discard it and we must take the condemnation certificate. And at the same time, from the procurement to the drug recall, it should be documented. Being an auditor, you must know what are the parameters are supposed to check in the drug recall, and this is the compliance. And these are the non-compliance in your audit. So this is how we have gone through what are the drugs and how it get banned, what is the drug recall, and what are the resources. So let's see what a scenario of a hospital pharmacy continues dispensing a cough syrup later found in the SEDESCO ban list due to codeine content. The clinician was unaware of the ban. Have you understood this scenario?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is the scenario here? Hospital pharmacy is continuing the dispensing a cough syrup. Then later it found that content and the clinician was not aware that SEDESCO guidelines and these guidelines to be followed by the pharmacist only, no, that is regulatory pharmacist. And even we did not inform to the clinician that is being used to the patient. So let's see what went wrong in the internal alert system. What went wrong in the internal alert system?
Ma'am, due to lack of communication.
Okay. Next answers. Next. First of all, what happened? Regulatory pharmacist is not alert on the latest guidelines. Who is taking care of all the guidelines on a day-to-day? What went wrong? First of all, pharmacist is not being alert to the latest guidelines and they did not check those guidelines, and that is the reason this medication drug recall was not communicated. And who should have verified the regulatory update? Who should have verified the regulatory update? Is clinician? Clinician should follow. Who should follow the regulatory update? Please tell me if it is wrong also, that's fine.
Clinical pharmacist.
Absolutely. Very good. And even the pharmacy head also supposed to check the regulatory update. How could the recall and communication have been improved in this scenario? How it could be the recall communicated had been improved?
Ma'am, the pop-up system should be installed.
Yes, very good. Very good. So pop-up, and the next thing is this recall was already done where the pharma professionals are not being updated, and it would be improved through the updated guidelines, and it would have conveyed to the clinician as earliest once pharmacist found it. So you found it late, and even it was not circulated to the clinician. So it might be through the email, or it might be through the circular. It would have at least prevented some reactions to the patient. So what corrective action and preventive action should be implemented? Yes, one of you told that is absolutely right. Appreciated. Preventive action is pop up. And the corrective action, what can we do? At least whatever the incident has done, we should remove all those medications aside, and we should keep along with the label, and so that that medication cannot be dispensed to this same patient again, or another patient also. So the corrective action is to keep immediate action, to give immediate action on the drug which was banned, which we are not aware due to not following the guidelines on time. So immediately the correction is remove all the medications from the storage and the usage areas, that might be a crash card or anywhere, ward stock, anywhere, that should be removed, and a circular to be sent by the quality or the clinical pharmacy or the pharmacy department to all the healthcare professionals that this drug got banned. So that is how only we can do for the correction, right? At least for the preventive action, we can make all the pop-ups and alerts. Based on the alerts, we can link, overlink, hyperlink that, and so that clinician will be more alert before prescribing the medication. So the key takeaway is timely regulatory tracking and the clinician communication are vital to patient safety and NABH compliance. Do you agree or not? Main lacking is we are not tracking the regulatory bodies on a day to day, and we are not communicating to the clinician, and at the same time through the communication should be through the emails as earliest, or the circular, and at the same time to the other departments also, so that it may give some safety to the patient, and when it is done on a timely basis, then it may lead to the complaints. If we go to the case 2, uh, the above case is banned drug we gone through, right? If we go through the case 2, drug recall execution. A supplier issues a recall for a specific batch of an antibiotic due to contamination risk. Pharmacy isolates stock, but 2 units were already issued to wards. Have you understood this case 2, case study 2?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the situation here?
Ma'am, there is a drug recall due to antibiotic. Means there is a drug which is antibiotic and it is having contamination risk. That why it is recalled. But the 2 units were already dispensed to the wards.
Huh. So the supplier is issuing the recalled batch for us, right? So what it is lacking here? How should the internal recall team act? If we go through here, if you go through this audit traceability, see, procurement itself, they should not accept it. Do you agree? They should not accept it to take to banned drug, recalled drug to the hospital. So whenever the procurement team is accepting, then the vendors, suppliers, whomever it is, they'll do the same thing because they need same. That is the reason the internal recall team act. How it should act? There should be some immediate circular where this medication got banned, and this batch should not be given, should not be collected if it comes from the patient. So whenever we maintain the document, then that should be escalated to all the departments, procurement, at the same time the pharmacy, central pharmacy also, so that they won't take it from the vendor itself, and they'll be more cautious before transferring the stock to the IP pharmacy or OP pharmacy. So the internal recall team should act in such a way to send all the circulars before reaching it to the patient itself, and before selecting the drug, and before taking from the vendor itself. What steps ensure patient safety and documentation compliance? What steps keeps patient safety here? What steps ensure patient safety and documentation compliance? Will you agree if I say communication? Will you agree if I say communication? See, communication from the procurement department itself is a big lacking. At the same time, the central pharmacy is also accepting the recalled drug from the vendor itself, and without knowledge, it has escalated to the another wards, and two were issued to the patient. So here the communication is required between the internal departments through a circular or emails or a pop-up. Whenever we are using EMR, this helps a lot. And the documentation compliance is whenever we found this, and we have to take it into the PTC committee, and we have to document these are the quantities we got in a wrong medicine, that is a recalled medicine, so that it can reach patient in a safe note, and it cannot be issued to the patient without knowledge. How should the auditor verify traceability? I have shown just now. What lessons for the future audits? This subject is quite new for you. I know that. See, here, what should the auditor verify is whenever we get the stock, whenever we receive stock from the supplier itself, a proper audit should be done. That is batch number. I have shared these things in second class or third, I guess. Batch number is mandatory, quantity, manufacturing date, and expiry date. Whenever we document all the drug recall drugs, so that we may able to know what drugs are being banned and recall drugs, so that their auditor should verify batch number and supplier name, manufacturing quantity, expiry, so that the from procurement to the storage to the patient safety, everything can be prevented. Than before affecting itself, it can be prevented. What lessons for future audit we have done here is batch tracking got missed. As we are not tracking, then the vendor has given silently to save these medications or whatever his business things. And due to our inefficiency in checking the batch, we could collect the recalled drug from the vendor. Here the lesson is we have to check while we are receiving the medicine from the vendor itself. Whenever we check then and there itself, then the variations wherever we found, we can it can be written then and there itself. And a rapid cross department, that is if central pharmacy is missing, then IP pharmacy should check. If at least IP pharmacy got missed, then nursing team should be checked to avoid all those things. That is the reason we are making the things into the counter check at the different areas. At least if we miss in one area, in next area it can be prevented. That is the reason always a cross department coordination is mandatory when we are dealing with the human life. So the double check in the one patient or high risk, how we make all those things. At the same time, at every department, batch, expiry date, manufacturing, at the same time, the physical condition also should be checked. And the summary and key aways, they like follow NABH MOM standards for recall and ban drugs, ensure robust communication channels, maintain regulatory vigilance and timely updates, audit for completeness, speed and documentation. If it is not documented, it is not done. This is a key takeaways for the MOM standards, that is a management of medication standards, are whenever the recall drugs and the banned drugs, we should be updated on the regulatory vigilance, so that whenever we are updated on that, we can escalate it to the clinicians. At the same time, the healthcare professionals who are using it, and we can remove it from the storage areas and the usage areas from entire hospital. And once we get the once if we get the recall drugs, we are immediately removing from the system, and we are giving alert system, so that whenever we put the pop-up in the EMR or any tagging the latest guidelines with the existing formulary, then it cannot reach to the patient. At the same time, whenever we do the audit, that is a completeness and the speed and the documentation is mandatory. At least in the audit situation, it can be prevented before reaching it to the patient. So if you don't document above all these things, then it is not done. Until unless if you have a documentation itself, it is valid. Hope you have understood what is meant by drug recall, how we can maintain, what are the banned drugs, how we are going into the PV centers and how it is replaced, and how the molecule got banned, how the brand got banned. This is something about today's session about the drug recall, banned drugs, and at the same time regulatory bodies. Do you have any doubts on it? Any doubts? See, this is one of the thing I can say that, see, batch recall miss. DCGI recalled cefuroxime 500 mg, batch is CFX 2302 due to subpotency. 2 vials were administered before the alert was implemented. Here the recall received at 10 a.m. 15 September 24. Action initiated, that is 4:30 p.m. same day. 2 doses administered at 2 p.m. This is something quite interesting. If you observe, the latest guidelines has recalled this antibiotic cefuroxime batch due to subpotency. But at what time drug recall received? On 15 September 10 a.m. But the action initiated is 4:30 p.m. same day. 2 p.m. doses got administered. See, can you see these times? I'm create a call response flow within 1 hour. How come it is used? When it got received in the drug recall at 10 a.m., if they have circulated at least 12 a.m., at least 2 hours, then they would have prevented these 2 administered doses. As the communication is lacking from the department, whenever we receive drug recall at 10 a.m., at least one, not even 1 hour, if we do it in 2 hours also, this would have prevented the patient harm. And action, you have initiated the action at 4:30, but there is no use. Whenever we have administered 2 doses 2 p.m., then the recall drug got affected to the patient. So whatever with things are there, we must use the recall response day quick 1 hour. Identify audit documentation to verify complaints. See, whenever we received at 10 a.m., then immediately auditors should act on it, and they have to remove entire medicines from the usage areas and the storage areas. through the document is through the system, it should be returned, and physically also it should be returned. That is an auditor job. Can you recommend improvements in the hospital recall communication protocol? This is the last question for today. Can anyone recommend improvements in the hospital's recall communication protocol? I know it's Diwali, people are in festival mode, and weekend. I do understand, but still, this is the last question.
Ma'am, in-time implementation of the recall.
Yes, very good. Very good. Next. So there should be a TAT, turn around time. For every recall, for every incident, there should be a TAT fixed, turn around time. See, we have kept 1 hour. If we maintain this one, then at least we would have missed this response, right? At 10 o'clock, we have received drug recall. As there is no TAT, that is, we have no guidelines at all. So for every hospital, we should have standard operating procedures based on the TAT. Whenever we follow the TAT, we can prevent all these kind of reactions from the vendor or whatever it is. From the supplier to, we should have a TAT, that is, from supplier it should be removed or returned to the 1 hour. And whenever we receive drug call alert, then it should be escalated to the auditor immediately within 10 minutes. Then auditor should verify all the documentation, the physical quantity, and the communication. See, whenever we improve all the standard operating procedures along with the TAT, then the real communication protocols initiated. That SOP should be issued in all the departments. It might be nursing, wards, and everything. So whenever these turnaround time is following by our system, then we can reduce all the events, these kind of harmful events to the patient, and at the same time legal complaints also. So we received things at 10 a.m., but still we have administered at 2 p.m. So there might be something, if patient got arrested or any life threatening risk, then it may lead to the legal action on us. So what we can do, we should maintain something as standard operating procedures. For every incident, there should be a turnaround time, and it should be issued to all the healthcare departments, so that that is a better communication. And we should have a drug recall form. Whenever we get a drug recall form, then that should be circulated to entire departments, firstly clinician and to the nursing department. So this is the better way, better improvement in the hospital. Hope you have understood. If you have any doubts, please feel free to ask. Any doubts? Yes. Any doubts? Are you clear? Have you understood? This is something beyond picture. These are very important actually. Where if you work for the different domains also, it is very important. Can we leave for today? Do you have any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Chalo then. Happy Diwali to all.
Happy Diwali, ma'am.
Thank you. Wish you the same.
Happy Diwali, ma'am.
Happy Diwali, ma'am.
Thank you. Happy Diwali.